Right. So, hello everyone. It's me, Pedro. I'm here with Stefan from Unibright. Hello, Stefan. How are you doing, buddy?
Hi, thanks for having us. Thank you.
No problem. It's my pleasure. So today I'm going to talk to Stefan about his project, Unibright, cryptocurrency, the cryptocurrency sphere, the blockchain technology, and the application of smart contracts, of course, because at least to me right now, that's the most interesting use case of the blockchain technology besides Bitcoin. So, Stefan, how are you doing? How are you doing today? How's everything with Unibright? Before we get into the question.
Yeah, I'm doing fine. It's been a Monday, so it's Monday afternoon here in Germany. So of course, Mondays always consist of working everything up that appeared over the weekend. So basically, it was having meetings and answering emails, and not so much about the technical work that I love to do as the Unibright CTO. But
Exactly.
of course, there are always both two sides to it. And from tomorrow, I will be able to have more on the technical side again.
Nice. So you are now working as the Unibright CTO, and I mean, can you give our viewers and readers a little bit about your background experience before Unibright? How you got in into the technical stuff?
Yeah, so I'm a master of computer science, a software developer by education, so to say.
And you did study in Germany, right?
I studied in Germany, yes.
Okay, cool.
I finished my studies 2006. Cool. And 2004, I already created and built the first company together with my co-founder Martin, the CEO of Unibright. And back then, we founded our first software development company, mainly providing individual programming and developing for companies. Okay. And since then, we built some other companies, a consulting company as well, and we did a lot of business integration. So this is our main topic. We've been active in the last decade, and we understand business integration as connecting companies and their IT systems. Okay. And in that time, we saw a lot of new technologies coming, and of course, we always wanted to be the first in line to implement them. And the same happened with blockchain like 3 years ago, and that was the starting point for Unibright, where we wanted to put our business integration expertise into the new field of blockchain technology.
Yeah, that was going to be my next question, but I think you already answered. How did you guys started with the blockchain? I think, but everything makes sense, right? Everything connects. So your experience is within software development, consulting, integrating technologies with businesses, which is something that sometimes people forget. That's the goal of technology, right? To solve problems. And so basically that's what you guys do, right? How do you feel about the blockchain technology, about its current potential and about where it can go in the future?
Yes, personally, I'm very convinced about the potential of blockchain. I think perhaps I have a different view on the speed of adoption than perhaps a cryptocurrency community may have. But the potential itself lies clear on the table, I would say. And as with all other technologies arising, it's about convincing the big players, the clients, to adopt to it. And most of them still will adopt a new technology if they see any profit in it. So just for making the world better, big companies would most probably not go for a new technology. Okay. But if they feel some kind of external pressure, may it come from clients who ask them to be more transparent, or be it from governments who ask them to put their, tax information on a distributed ledger or whatever. As soon as these external factors will appear, then adoption will also start big time. We are not at this position yet with the blockchain technology, but I think we are moving very fast towards it.
Okay, so basically what you're saying is that, as everything, it depends on scalability, and scalability, of course, it will depend on adoption. So basically the two correlated, and it's within the blockchain. It's not easy to scale. At least it has been the main problem. And just to give our viewers and readers an understanding, the problem always lies within which dimension you are going to change, because you can either lower the security or lower the decentralization. Usually that's, you know, that's how it goes to make a platform or a protocol, sorry, scalable. Of course, Unibright, we're talking about, you know, a business solution, so these problems don't apply to a business solution, because the goal, Unibright per se, is already scalable, so it can already be implemented within a business to integrate the blockchain in an easy way, correct?
Yes, so perhaps at this point I should explain a little bit what Unibright is about. So our idea is that we learn from former technologies that have to be implemented in business processes and transfer these knowledge to blockchain. So as I said, of course, a company has to see, when they want to make use of a new technology, they have to see some benefit out of it. So if they don't see any benefit, then they will most probably not use it, or at least not be the first ones to use it. And as soon as they want to use a new technology, the questions arising are quite comparable no matter what the new technology is. So it has been the same with service-oriented architectures or virtualization or mobile devices.
Like the cloud technology, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, as soon as you see a new benefit, you have to make decisions like, where do I find developers for it, and which part of my business processes can be transferred to that new technology without breaking everything up, and how can I integrate my existing systems that I paid like 10 or 15 or 20 years for. I don't want to switch them off, but I want to have them integrated. And with Unibright, we have a blockchain-based solution for that. So we focus on the business process of the enterprise, and then we add or we offer a visual interface to design a blockchain process, and all the technical objects you need to run that process in a blockchain, they are generated automatically by our software. So basically, we are replacing guys like ourselves, developers, by a high-level, process-oriented framework to enable blockchain business processes.
Exactly. So basically, the way that you are implementing your product is by allowing people to start by designing a workflow, and then managing that workflow in a contract life cycle, you know, manager, basically in a way that it's very easy for people to manage those smart contracts that they design. So they don't need to know code. The only thing they need to do is to, you know, drag and drop stuff and then link that stuff so that it looks like kind of like a decision-making tree. And after that, it's a simple matter of approvals. And yeah, it's very easy to manage. Basically, I can say this because I've tried the demo. I've created a couple of, you know, contracts, and I authorized the contract to see how the you know, life cycle worked, and everything went pretty well. It was very easy to use. I did receive approvals by email. It was very easy to send the codes to approve stuff. So I could see this being implemented in a business quite soon in a very, very easy manner. When I say easy, I mean it's very easy to integrate with the current infrastructure. So on that front, I think you guys are doing very well, because, you know, I can vouch for the product. I've tried it, guys.
Yeah, thank you. That was the idea of having a public beta version. So not just providing like white papers and fancy announcements, but really providing something. And it's very important that to stick out that we want to have a very complex process and reduce the complexity by offering a graphical interface just for that use case. So our goal is not replacing a complex programming language by a graphical language, but really focusing single use cases where blockchain makes sense. Like in our demo, we show an approval process, and then we offer a visual interface just for that process. So the example you just gave only consists of 2 elements that you can work with, and each new template will have its distinct elements. So somebody using that, our framework does not have to learn about all templates and all possibilities our framework has, but pick the one that makes sense for his business. So we are also trying to reduce complexity around the processes.
Exactly. So you're not competing with the current ERP systems. You're basically a complement to the current ERP systems. A very easy way to integrate with smart contracts and blockchain technology, correct?
Correct. So it's not a
Yeah.
competition with ERP
Exactly.
systems. It's rather about integrating them.
Exactly.
And we have, it's a framework, and our framework consists of different tools. And there are even use cases where you do not need an ERP system at all. So for example, the approval process, it's a graphical interface, and then you have a smart contract. And this smart contract lives in a blockchain, and you can give your approvals, for example, by email. And this would be an example where we can already make use of something in the blockchain without an ERP system at all.
Okay,
So
that's absolutely amazing, because for people that are not very familiar with, one of the problems of ERP systems is that they're very, very expensive to implement, because you not only need to purchase the software, you need people to implement the software and then people to maintain the software, because it's very complex. And the more complex it is, the more expensive it is. So if you have a way of delivering the decision making in a easy format through, for example, through email, I think that could completely shift the way that people work and collaborate together. That's very interesting, very, very interesting, Stefan.
Yeah, and the email is only our way to show how our connector, one of the framework parts, work. Because for the public demo, of course, we wanted to use something that every user can try out. And there are dedicated use cases where you need an ERP interface. And for example, if you are in the SAP world, then you are talking about iDocs, or perhaps having an PI platform, and then it gets really technical. But for the crowd to check out a blockchain process, we thought it would be more fancy to show an email connector, so that you can write an email with a specific code, send it to our platform, and then you see that really something in the blockchain changes.
Exactly.
This is of course we like what we do as well, but this was also a big changer for us in argumentation, because you can easily have interviews like this and show white papers and talk a lot about what you want to do, but actually taking your mouse and your keyboard and trying out things and see that something works is still more convincing in our feeling. So I can encourage everyone who's listening to that video, to that interview, or reading it, to really go to Unibright.io and check out the demo for himself.
Definitely, because you can very easily see how it works, and especially if you have some experience in finance or procurement or logistics, you'll clearly see how easy it is, and the quick advantages that it gives its users. Before we go into the token, because I want to discuss it, one more question about your product. I want to analyze your partnerships, your current partnerships, and how they are developing. I mean, for example, with SAP, because I think that's one of the, well, probably the strongest partner that any workflow design platform and contract life cycle management platform could want. How is that partnership developing? What you can say about it?
Yeah, I think you have to distinguish between partnerships that are set up between crypto projects and partnerships established with big players.
Outside organizations, yes.
So for example, the SAP partnership for us, our consulting company is SAP partner since the 90s. So we have like a client and partner number within SAP that is still 3 digits. So, and a lot about these partnerships is giving support when you are implementing something. We are running our own SAP system, so of course we have to have a partnership for all the licensing and everything. And when it really comes to the advantages for a small startup, then we can say that we can develop everything we have based on our SAP partnership in a real SAP system. So other startups would perhaps have to pay thousands for that, and we already have it established. That's a technical partnership, so to say, with a big player like SAP. And for us, it's just a way to be faster and more professional than other projects, because we can already implement on the real thing and not only on documentations or anything.
Exactly.
There are also partnerships with crypto-related projects that really go more to, let's do something together. We find a client together and we work on that. But of course, the SAP partner network consists of 10,000s of companies, and for us it's just a great advantage that we have been in that space so early, since decades now.
Okay, and I completely agree, especially because now these big companies like partnering up between themselves. For example, Microsoft Azure will offer, I think it already offers a connection to SAP. So I mean, there's already a big link with the cloud and how SAP is used. And I've done, for example, I've used, for example, SAP Leonardo for the blockchain just to see how it would work. And the courses are really great, and the way that they understand the blockchain, I think it's the proper way. They do promote decentralization. I was really interested because I wouldn't think that, but you know, I was quite surprised, to be honest, with the quality of the course and the way that they see these technologies. So
totally so. That's the same holds true for like Microsoft or IBM as well. They also provide great material. What you have to keep in mind is that these big players are mostly interested in selling their core platforms, of course.
No, of course.
So if IBM or SAP or Microsoft offers something with blockchain, then it will be always related to their core system, which actually drives revenue for them. And it's also important to understand that Unibright itself doesn't have a core platform it wants to promote, but we want to promote the Unibright framework itself. So each time we are partnering, we are using the technology that SAP gives us with a great ERP system, that Microsoft gives us with an Azure cloud environment, and build upon these existing infrastructure, not replacing it, but integrating it into blockchain.
Exactly. And for example, how do you think, or how easy do you think it will be for you guys to develop, for example, APIs with SAP products so that you can easily connect the Unibright framework? Do you think that will be done?
That is already done, because our connector part of the framework is based on an integration platform we developed with our consulting company, which is up and running since 2011 and is serving productive clients from the banking sector, from the productive sector. And all these clients work with SAP. So we have several communication channels and connection and integration channels with SAP already established on IDOC base, on web service base, sometimes even in processes based on flat files. I can be totally honest. There are clients that are still working with flat files on FTP servers. That's still the case in 2019.
Okay.
And we are able to integrate that as well and transform data from these channels into updates on a smart contract easily.
Okay, and that kind of proves that you do integrate with very old technology. So congratulations. That's very interesting. And yeah, I mean, I did want to ask this question because I wanted like the more technical people to understand that you already have developed something real. So it's not like you know, we have this partnership. No, we have a channel, more than one channel connected to those guys. So that's what I really wanted you to talk about. Thank you. That's awesome. Okay, let's move on into the token. All right. Before I start with my questions, do you want to talk a little bit about the current, you know, utility functions of the UBT token and the functionality that you want to incorporate in the future?
Yeah, of course. So the basic idea behind the Unibright token is that it serves a voucher mechanism. So it's a utility token in that sense that we use it as a voucher to use our platform. Okay. It is very important to know and to state that the term utility token is not an official term. So, for example, the German regulator doesn't care if you call your token a utility token or not. The decision to classify you as a security or not are based on other metrics. And in our case, we were given the okay by the German regulators that we are not e-money, for example, and that we're not a security, and that we don't have to raise a prospectus towards potential token holders. And our token serves as a voucher to use our platform. So if you want to do something with the Unibright framework, like publishing a smart contract, or like connecting a smart contract to an SAP system, or to run a business intelligence query against smart contracts, then you need Unibright tokens to send them to the platform so the platform can perform the service. And the voucher you have to bring into is the Unibright token. So without Unibright tokens, you are not able to use the platform. That's the easy way of telling it.
Exactly. So imagine for a customer right now in this point in time, I'm assuming that they do not need to go to an exchange, or they do not need to really know how to work with cryptocurrency. I'm assuming that if they want to pay with euros, they will be able to pay with euros, and you guys convert those euros into the token, and that way they can use them. Is it correct?
It's correct. We will help them with getting the UBT they need, and just from the ratio of complexity, I think when it comes to implementing a process from an ERP into blockchain, then this is still quite complex from the way you have to think. You have to put resources into it and work on a pilot case or whatever. And this makes 99% of the effort, and 1% of the effort is how you get UBT. And if you, as a big company, really struggle to use any of the exchanges, then we are very, very, very happy to help. And until now, I can say that we did not miss one single client because of a missing exchange or something. It's totally fine with the 4 or 5 exchanges we have right now. We can work with that.
Okay, and are your customers, how do they deal with that? I mean, I'm assuming that the customers that you have approached that haven't never dealt with cryptocurrencies, are they comfortable with that? Is it okay for them, like, to use that different logic in business?
Of course, if they make the mind transition to change a process from a centralized system like a big cloud storage to something decentralized, if they manage this mind transition, then it's easy for them to do a transition on, okay, we need a blockchain-based token for payment. If they understand what potential decentralization and distributed ledger technology has, then it's easy to explain them that they need a cryptocurrency to pay for it. But if they do not see a sense in blockchain at all, then we don't have to convince them of getting our token because they will not use the framework anyway. So the harder part right now, April 2019, is still explaining enterprises what is blockchain and in how far does blockchain make sense for your personal use case. This is still the harder way, the harder job to do. And that's why we also established a consulting branch, Unibright Solutions, besides selling the framework. So, because our opinion is we first have to sell the technology itself and the benefits. And then when the customer got it, then we can offer him the framework to get to his solution. So that's two parts of bringing clients to blockchain and to our framework.
Okay. So let me ask you a question. Imagine that some project just copies your framework. Okay, I know it's not easy to copy because you need to build the interface. But I'm assuming that a project copies your framework. One question is, do you think the UBT token grants your network some value in the sense that your community won't go away to the other project; they will stay with you guys?
Of course, that's a little bit.
It's a tricky question. It's not an easy one, I know.
Yeah. I think about copying, we have a slightly different approach to that. So from the very beginning, we have been very open towards potential partners and clients, and we were telling what we have, and we were not so afraid of sharing ideas because somebody would copy it, because we are very, very convinced and confident about the quality we provide. And also the software development standards we have. And I can tell you from my personal experience in the field and the developers we are working with in our team, that it will be not easy to copy on the quality that we provide right now. And if it's really the way, like it happened before, that a great startup is at one point interesting for a big player because they rather want to buy than build, then of course I can ensure that every company who would love to buy Unibright has to buy the tokens as well. So that's not, for us, it's not a tricky question. We are very confident and convinced that we provide outstanding quality and do not see a real competitor on the level that we provide currently.
Okay. I mean, I think that's a very good point. Do you see? I mean, I'm sorry to go back to this question, but just before we close the conversation about tokens, do you see any utility that you could add in the future, or not utility, any functionality you could add to the token in the future that could maybe improve its usability, or do you think you guys are happy with the way that the token works now?
No, we will always, so to say, screen the current state of the ecosystem around blockchain if there's any additional utility we can offer. So for example, in the very beginning, we had the idea of opening a template marketplace where third-party developers can provide APIs or templates and sell them for Unibright tokens. But I think currently it's not the problem that we don't have enough templates.
Okay.
It's still the main goal is still to convince companies to go for blockchain.
To use, yeah.
And I think it's also an advantage that our token model is not so so complicated. It's just a voucher to use in the platform. And I repeat myself on this. I said that in a lot of interviews. If there's a point in time where all Unibright tokens are inside the platform because so many clients use our framework and all vouchers are gone, then we're happy about it. So it's not a problem. Then it means that everybody who had a token sold them to a client, or a client himself put it into the framework, and that's just the perfect outcome. So I'm not afraid that we're running out of ideas on how to use the Unibright token. If we just use it for the platform voucher functionality, then we're totally fine. Okay,
good. Thank you. I mean, one last question about, before I close the conversation about Unibright. What are, like, the most pressing issues that you guys have technically now? And also, if you want to talk about it, of course, in terms of business, I understand, of course, in terms of business should be about integrating new customers. At least I assume that those are the current challenges. But in terms of any technical issues or anything technical that you think that has been, like, a pressing matter or a bottleneck for you guys?
Yeah, I don't want to tell how great we are, but actually I think there are no real problems from the technical side, because we prepared everything quite well, and also from a software architecture standpoint, from the very beginning we designed everything to be adaptable to new protocols or to new systems that we want to integrate, to new use cases. So on all vertical and horizontal scaling options, we are very well set up to scale. But it doesn't make sense to scale if you don't have, at least in every sector of this multidimensional scaling approach, at least one example. So the main goal the main challenge we have is dealing with different expectations towards adoption. So I think when we are in the ICO time and in the hype about cryptocurrencies, then everything is on a daily or even hourly base. Everything goes very, very fast, and you have these hype movements and down and up and down. And a business adoption life cycle is way longer. It takes months and years. And our main challenge in the first year now was to bring these two worlds together. So to provide on our framework and still explain the crypto community what we are doing, and that they have trust in us and that we're really doing something. And now I think in 2019, most people understood that it takes a little time, and that besides using blockchain as a cryptocurrency technology, that it takes some time to use it as a mainstream technology. But I think in 4 or 5 years from now, we will laugh about what we are talking right now, and everybody will be used to using blockchain in a mainstream sense.
Probably, and with that, I completely agree with you. Like, apart from Unibright, because I think it's interesting for the people at home. Apart from Unibright, since we're talking about the cryptocurrency space, what other projects do you think are interesting? Obviously, I'm pretty sure Ethereum and EOS, because your smart contracts go into Ethereum and also into EOS. So, but apart from, like, those protocol platforms, if we can call them that, any other projects that you like or that you're interested in, like in learning more technically about them?
Yes, I'm totally honest with you. We expected the protocol world to be more interesting in the beginning. Yeah, so when we designed Unibright to be blockchain agnostic, we expected that adoption perhaps will take some time, but that on the protocol side, there are really interesting competitors to each other. So right now, 1 year after our launch, I think that it's still mainly Ethereum, or at least Ethereum virtual machine based protocols that are interesting, because they somehow proved that the smart contract approach worked, because all or most of the ICOs were done over Ethereum technology. So it somehow proved that it adds real value. So for now, for example, we partnered with Tolar because they also use the Ethereum virtual machine. So they build upon something that proved that it's working, but they added a better and faster consensus protocol to it, so it is faster, had more throughput, less latency, takes less energy, which is also important. So Tolar, of course, is interesting. That's why we partnered with them. I still think that the NEM implementation is very interesting because they get a step away from that smart contract thinking and put it more in other technologies. But currently, I'm not so super excited on the platform side. So that there's that one project that I think it will take all the market. For me, it's more interesting on the use case side. So all these STOs coming up and tokenization projects, this is something that's really interesting and that we have also been supporting from the very beginning. For example, if you take a look at our Deutsche Bahn tokenization project. So I think from the use case side, this is currently more what's interesting to me, although I'm the CTO and I should love the different technical things. I don't see the biggest game changer in the protocol side, but rather in the use case side right now.
Okay, that's a very interesting idea, because I think when you speak about use cases, that means that probably in the future, let's say in 20 years from now, assuming that this technology is still being used, I would argue that probably the way that we trade value among each other will be completely different, because as you mentioned, with the adoption of more dApps and a completely different way of exchanging value, for example, for attention, for content creation, for basically for anything that we do online, that will completely change the way that we perceive, communicating with each other, sorry. Even that, because it will be okay, as you said, to purchase a token just to use a platform. People will get used to that, because that will be normal, because they will get some tokens from other stuff that they will do. So value will be easier to get. At least that's my thinking. In the future, that's what I see. People exchanging value way more easily.
Totally so.
Yeah. So I completely agree with you. It will be about use cases. So we need more use cases, more companies like Unibright creating different frameworks or different ways to reach out for adoption, to reach out for big companies, or to like the everyday guy. It doesn't matter, but we need these types of companies, these types of applications being developed. Stefan, thank you so much for speaking to me today. I'm pretty sure that the people at home, they love the interview and they love to get to know Unibright a little bit more. Thank you for being technical, because I think it's very important for people at home also to get a technical understanding of how platforms work and how you guys are collaborating with other companies. So thank you again for that. And everyone, you should try the Unibright demo, the public demo. It's very, very easy to use. You can just drop boxes, create connectors, and just do approvals of everything. It's very, very easy to use. Do try it. Stephen, thank you so much, man, again for this interview. And I hope people at home liked it. Thank you, man.
Thank you.
Okay, so basically.